I've recently been reading this book written by Schaeffer, How Should We Then Live? It's a great look at how the history of art and music and culture have unfolded over the centuries in relation to the way the Christian ethic and the Christian influence has devolved in our lifetime and over the centuries in history. One of the things that one of the astute observations that he makes is this profound rule he gives on page 224. He says, if there are no absolutes by which to judge society, then society itself is absolute. And he's talking about this in direct correlation to the abortion problem in America. Now, of course, this book was written many years ago. A lot of things have changed. This book was written actually not too long after Roe v. Wade was instituted in our country in 1973. And Francis goes on to argue that Roe v. Wade itself, the way it was decided, was both medically arbitrary and legally arbitrary. Medically, in that it provided protections for abortion all the way through the first trimester of pregnancy. In the second trimester of pregnancy, it allowed for abortion in the case of the health of the mother. But that term health of the mother defined so broadly, especially Francis does not point this out, or Schaeffer does not point this out, but with the companion decision that was handed down with Bolton the same day as Roe v. Wade, the health of the mother really protected the right to abortion all the way through all 9 months of pregnancy, depending on whether or not the doctor or the mother felt like there was some sort of physical or emotional or inherent risk to the pregnancy if it caused some sort of unhealth or uncomfortableness, if you will. Yeah, you see where I'm going with that. Giving birth to a baby is inherently uncomfortable and will cause a great deal of stress, which can be medically defined as a burden that the mother should not necessarily have to bear. So medically, it is arbitrary in that, or Roe v. Wade was arbitrarily decided in that there really is no point at which personhood really can be defined. What we're talking about is humanity, and abortion always, at every stage, from conception to the time the heart beats, to the time there's sentient thought, to the time that there's viability, fetal viability, if you will. It's always a human being. One of the things that's really unusual about all these medical considerations is that the life of the baby really is never entered into the discussion. It's only what is going on with the mother that determines whether or not the abortion is permissible. It's funny because people who write books and pontificate on the ethics of abortion have no problem in the same sentence saying that there's no problem with the destruction of a fetus whatsoever, especially in those early parts of development and even into the second trimester, maybe into the third trimester. But those same people in the same sentence will often talk about the ethical dilemma caused by creating babies in vitro in the laboratory, by conjoining the sperm and the ovum together, whether or not these fetuses are ever going to be implanted. Many of them, knowingly, they never would be implanted into a mother to give it a gestational viability, gestational opportunity. So it seems like there's an ethical dilemma on the one hand of creating a joined egg and a sperm for consumption, if you will, as opposed to just being able to wave off abortion as totally satisfactory in destroying a baby at any point during the 9-month period. It is dissonant, if you will, and we live in dissonant times. And without a hierarchy, without some sort of moral absolute in our society, or as Schaeffer puts it, without a societal absolute by which to judge society, society itself becomes absolute. And I think that is pretty self-evident in the case of abortion and the way we have begun to argue it in our world in this day and age. What we would argue for is a biblical ethic, because as conservatives, as social conservatives, we seek to conserve that which over time in history has proven itself to contribute to a harmonious and a stable society. Marriage, children, family, job, house, patriotic duty, church activity, charitable organizations. These are things that as we look for those things that have contributed to harmony in our society, conservatives tend to seek out to conserve those very things over time. And abortion is one of those issues that we really want to take a moral conservative approach to, a biblically conservative approach to. If you look throughout history, abortion has always been rejected by the church throughout, the many generations and the many centuries of church influence in our society. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, because God's law, God's moral and natural law, God's written and revealed law in the Bible provides a hierarchical structure for society that gives us a stability that we can count on. It gives us a platform from which to judge what is right, what is wrong, what we can or should do, and what we cannot or should not do as a society, whether or not all of us subscribe to the lordship of Jesus Christ. God's law is perfect. It's good for us, and we commend it to you. We commend to you, if you are a newcomer to the PassionLife Fellowship and consuming these video blogs that John and I do from time to time, reading our emails, the things that we put out, we commend to you, brothers and sisters, saturate yourself with the Word of God. It is the absolute by which we need to adjust our lives, and it is the absolute to which we need to adjust our culture. Otherwise, we slide down a very, very slippery slope. It's where we have gone in these last couple of generations of sliding down the slippery slope that keeps us from being able to define many things that let's just say this, in past generations, it was pretty easy to define some of these things, some of these questions that society is wrestling with at this point. Saturate yourself in the Word of God. Get to know what His will is for you and for your society and for America and for the world at large at this point in redemptive history. This is our time to really lean in to the good promises and the good things that He has given us. Follow us at Passion Life as we endeavor to bring the Word of God into action around the world in the lives of the unborn.